Welcome back. Now, some private equity investors present at that event, the Banking Forum and Nigerian Capital Investment Forum in the UK, lauded the reform efforts of President Buhari's administration. Brad Cohn, partner African Alpha Investment Partners, says his company has already launched their business in Nigeria and they are happy with the current turnaround in the economy.
We are a private equity investor across all of Africa, and we've got one particular transaction that we're launching in Nigeria in February next year, and it's to do with the consumer story. And when you listen to all the interventions that have gone on, especially in the economy, driven a lot by the central bank governor and what have you, where things have really turned the corner in our minds. And there's so many pieces of the economy that if you just fix some of these things, especially if you compare to South Africa, like so the ability to, like the low tax rates, the low savings industry and what have you, fix any of these things, Nigeria is just, we think, going to really take off. So we've come in at a very good entry point to where the country was at a very low point. We made our investment in February this year, which was kind of when the foreign exchange market was probably at its worst. And so we're feeling quite pleased about the fact that it's turned around. I was at Standard Bank before running global markets, and my experience is always that there's an 18-month turnaround whenever there's a crisis. So my belief was that it would turn around as long as there's good leadership and what have you. And I think that we've seen that from all these presentations here. We've seen how the macro position is starting to change quite fast. Lots more work to do, but the people appear to be aware of what it is, and there's plans and so on to do it. So we're pretty optimistic and pleased that we've made an investment that we will start to see launched next year.
Leading business management firm Phillips Consulting is a renowned establishment with legacies in the human capital of public and private sectors. Now 25 years old, the company will today announce a new managing director as the founder, Mr. Felicia Phillips, plans to bow out. In a chat with Channel's television business producer Temple Ashaju, Mr. Phillips recounts the firm's milestones and gives a stint on the future plans.
The first thing, and I always explain this to people, that when we started 25 years ago, a lot of us were 25 years younger, obviously. But we kicked off in an environment that was quite entrepreneurial. And I keep on identifying a lot of new organizations that were taking place, that was kicking off then. That was the season when your Guaranteed Trust Bank started. That was the season when your IBTC started. The season when Zenith Bank and Diamond and so many other organizations, especially the financial services sector, that's when they started. That also was when consulting, with Anderson Consulting of old, that's now changed to Accenture. That is where they all started. So there was a general ecosystem at that time of change, of a brand new revolution as to how we want to move. And maybe Nigeria positioning itself to say, let's begin to get even a lot more professional than we hitherto had been at that time. And what was also more remarkable was that the people that were kicking off these new organizations were all pretty young at that time, all in our mid-30s, late 30s, and a totally new paradigm. And we redefined and said, look, this is the way the future needs to be. And that's why the new generation banks, for example, were knocking off the older ones, because it's like, look, the guards have changed, things have changed, we need to do things differently. So you fast forward now to 25 years later on, and as I said on the floor, organizations are now emerging, but now in a new paradigm, which is this digital paradigm. And again, the people that are now dominating and redefining and saying, this is how we're going to move into the future, again are in their mid-30s, maybe even younger as well. So things have changed, and it's almost like a cycle that's taking place. And so for us, even at 25, we're saying, what's our next 25 years going to look like? So rather than start talking about, we've done strategy work, we've done HR work, we've done systems work, we've just spent the last 25 years helping to build Nigerian institutions. We're very proud of that. I think we're very good at it. We've been very, very practical about it. We've been very, very hands-on. Less theory and more digging in and rolling up our sleeves and understanding a lot better than even the foreign firms that come in, about the innuendos and the little things about our environment that's allowed us to be very good at what we do. Plus, we've churned out a lot of consultants. I mean, 25 years, we've had a lot of people come through our doors, and we also have participated in feeding the system with very competent consultants who are great guys today. We know of a lot of managers and senior managers and junior people in the organizations when we started off with, they're now CEOs. Okay, so there's a whole new cycle. And for someone like me personally, it's like, okay, it's time to begin to, well, I've been stepping back for the last 24 months, 18 months. But now come 1st of November, early November, we're actually appointing, we'll be announcing a new managing director for Philips Consulting as we begin the next thing about the institution building, which is succession.
You have your indelible marks left on so many companies in Nigeria as to the responsibility you have towards the workforce sourcing for such companies. But over the years and months when Nigeria had its economic recession, there was so much of job losses, job cuts, as so many companies had to downsize. What does this mean to you?
My position has always been this way. The success or failure of this country has really revolved around the competence of people. You can carve it any way you want. Even when we talk about building institutions, it's really about people. And the challenge we have is trying to learn how to identify people who should do work and be put in positions, how to develop their competence, their capability, trying to understand issues about competence and behavior, competence and character, cognitive skills and cognitive skills. Because no matter how wonderful your ideas might be, and this is where, again, I come back to the role that we've played in actually rolling up our sleeves and getting things going. It's about people executing. And our failure has been the inability to execute, inability to roll out and do the things that we put in all these nice documents and strategy and so on. If we were able to just implement a tenth of the kind of strategic things that we talk about, we would move a long way. So it goes back to the individual. How do you identify them? How do you select them? How do you train them? How do you develop them? How do you evaluate them? And on the people side, yes. But then again, the kind of processes and systems that they use to carry out the work. How efficient are we? And so there's a whole multitude of things that go into these things. So we now bring that back into the reality that we have in the country today. There are issues about policy. We should have diversified a long time ago. We should have. But we've all relied on oil. Okay, we know we've made that mistake. Now to try to diversify is a problem. Why? Because we're out of practice. We just don't know how to do it.
And finally, on the program, the global markets, Brent crude oil prices were near two-year highs in the morning trade today as OPEC has significantly improved compliance with its pledged supply cuts, and Russia is also seen keeping to the deal. Brent futures, the international benchmark for oil prices, were at $61.15 per barrel, up 21 cents since their last close, and near the $61.41 a barrel two-year high from intraday trading on Tuesday. Brent is up almost 38% since its 2017 lows last June. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $54.65 a barrel, up 27 cents and close to February highs. It is up almost 30% since 2017 lows in June. And that's it on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimizie Obi. You're welcome.